This is Digital Work Diaries, a podcast where we talk about research stories on the changing nature of work, hosted by the Digital Work Lab of Victoria University of Wellington.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mina, and today I'm really excited to chat with Nastaran about augmented reality in the workplace. She just published a great paper in Business Horizons that looks at how organizations are actually trying to adopt AR. Hi, Nastaran, and congratulations on your new publication.
Hi, Mina. Thank you for having me here today.
Let's go to the first question. What inspired you to explore the topic of augmented reality implementation, and what gap were you hoping to fill with this paper?
Thank you, Mina. The inspiration came from the gap that I noticed between the hype around augmented reality and the actual experiences of the organizations who try to implement AR. Although there are lots of buzzes around augmented reality, but when I look closer, many organizations are still stuck on the problems and the challenges that they interface. I noticed that while the literature has already documented many of the challenges, it rarely provides practical step-by-step guidelines and solutions for organizations to overcome those barriers. So the goal of this paper was to move just from the conversations and all of the literatures to the actual guideline that the organization can use to have a successful AR implementation.
That's interesting. You spoke with 24 AR experts for this study. What were some common themes or challenges you heard across different industries?
Yes, although we have interviewed different people from different backgrounds, such as healthcare, construction, educations, but it was really interesting that to see there were lots of common challenges between those people. For example, most of them mentioned how it is difficult to align AR with their existing IT systems, and also how it is challenging to talk about the investments of AR and the benefits of that, because the benefits are not just ROI, they are quantitative benefits as well. So there were some employees resistance, which was about the AR is going to be as a replacement tool for their current job, and also privacy issues that the people was thinking, okay, who is going to use our data, and whatever we are doing with AR could be observed, but with our manager.
In the paper, you talk about how organizations often struggle to move past pilot projects. Why do you think this happens so often?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I am working in an organization which have the same problem with the immersive technologies. What we found is that the pilot project often are easier to implement because they are small, the risks are smaller, and also they can be run in one department without disrupting too much. But moving from a successful pilot to a full scale is one of the difficult stories. There are several reasons. For example, organizations don't always plan for what is coming next. They just buy the technology because it's a really advanced technology and everyone is using that, but there is not any rationale behind that. So there's not any long-term preparation. Another issue is the pilots are often designed to show AR's potential, but they don't always align with the company's actual workflow, and it is something that is always misaligned. And for the pilots, although the pilots looks promising, but scale is always have lots of difficulties, and the companies or the organization are not ready for the scaling the projects. So this we hope this framework can help to this transition, and AR can remain as a cool experience in most of the time, rather than just being a core part of the business.
That makes sense. One obstacle mentioned is the difficulty in showing the benefits of AR earlier. What are some ways organization can better communicate or measure AR's impact?
Yeah, one of the most challenging parts is the value of showing the value of using AR. It's not just about ROI because I think the better spatial understanding or more initiative decision makings are one of the main um, values of AR which cannot be measured in traditional ways. So it makes hard to build a business case or get stakeholders ready. One of the best strategies to collect this data is using AR use cases and turn them into the short case studies. For example, if AR help reduce task errors or maintenance process, you can measure the improvement directly. Or if the students are encouraged or engaged in the AR, you can understand it through the records and the feedback scores and participation metrics. It is helpful to develop benchmarks for these technologies. So things like how accurate the things are, completion rates, even the physical comfort level can also be recorded and tracked. So when organizations start measuring what matters in an AR context, it becomes much easier to communicate the value, not just having the factor of ROI.
I love that, using a small and real example to build a case. You introduce a three-phase roadmap: initiation, development, and integration. Can you briefly explain what each phase focuses and why the structure works?
Yeah, of course. I used the technology road mapping model as a base for my um, framework. The three phases of that are initiation, development, and integration, which you mentioned. And also the first steps, which is initiation, is about building the awareness. This is where organization define the problems AR is trying to solve, problem definition, and how it is matched with their strategies and address the early concerns. The second one is development phase, is when you test AR in a control environment. Think of it like a pilot phase, which can focus on learning, and then this is where you can work through technical issues, refine them, and also go back to the loop to be prepared for the integration phase, and it is the hardest step. This is about scaling the projects and also optimizing workflows, ensuring security, maintenance, and everything in each, which is in line with the goals of the project. So breaking the process into small phases can help the organization to easily overcome those challenges.
The paper mentions employee resistance as a barrier. How can organization help their staff feel more comfortable when new technology like AR are introduced?
That's a cool question. I think transparency and involvement when employees don't understand the purpose of using a new technology, so it's always difficult to ask them to use it. So we should talk about here what are their fears, and also talk to them what is the technology is going to solve, and how it is going to help them to work easier, and how they can improve their job with using this technology. Specifically, augmented reality is a technology that can help the people to learn. So it is it's a technology that can improve the people work. And so when I have participants who was talking how hands-on experiences and how using technology was helpful, so the people went from being skeptical to being excited. And also another organization used a real world example for similar roles to show how AR could reduce workload and improve accuracy. As I mentioned, it's really important that people don't feel like they are not being replaced, and they are supported. So the mixture of the traditional methods and how AR is going to improve those traditional workloads is really important.
Right. Based on your research, what would you say are the most important things for an organization to get right at the beginning of an AI project?
Two things are really critical. One is the problem definition and be honest about the organization readiness. So if the AR is just being used because it's trendy, it's novelty or like that, so it's not a clear good. Clearly, it's not a good reason for using that. So if it's tied to the real needs, like improving training, reducing error, enhancing customer engagement, then it could definitely works. And readiness is about just more IT system. It includes leadership supports, staff openness, budget planning, and everything should be considered. So some organizations don't realize, for example, that their lighting or network bandwidth might affect AR performance. So working on these readiness factors could be really helpful.
You involved real-world example and enablers in the paper. What kind of feedback have you received so far from people in the field?
Okay, that's a interesting question. I use this roadmap in my career as a project lead for an organization which is working on the immersive technologies, and we use this roadmap to help them to overcome the challenges of each phases of technology implementation. So the people told me how they appreciate that the paper is not just about the technology, but it gives them also the practical solution. And also they said the roadmap helped them to structure internal conversations better, and other like the way we matched obstacle with a specific enabler. So there's a solution for each of those obstacles in our paper. So they told me that they don't feel overwhelmed at all, and they could see where they were in the process and what they should focus on the next step.
That's great to hear. Sounds like your work is really helping people make sense of where to begin and how to move forward. Thank you so much, Nastaran. This was such a helpful look at where AR is heading and how organization can make it work.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, Mina.
Thanks for listening to this Digital Work Diaries podcast. We'd love to hear your feedback and questions. Drop us a comment below, and we look forward to catching you next time.